All right, Sport and Spinal Weekly. We are back, and Dr. Erickson is with us. Good afternoon, Doctor.
How you doing today, Mark?
Good. Well, I love the nice weather. However, our weather, before we get on to topic, is it just me sometimes? But we went from 90 degrees last week on Saturday to like 50 degrees earlier this week. And then sometimes it feels like our bones ache. Is that just in our head?
Not necessarily. I mean, some people do have some changes in their body with the barometric pressure.
Okay.
And so, I get complaints of that all the time in the office where people's joints ache a bit more when the pressure changes. So, yeah, pretty common complaint.
So you're not in a bad situation if you're like others. That's kind of normal for some people.
It can be a normal thing for sure.
With the nice weather and the fact that we've got 14, 15 courses in a matter of 40 minutes just from right downtown Paul and Babe. And golfing is supposed to be a relaxing sport. Mm-hmm. For some, I'm sure it is. For some, maybe frustrating. But for others, it might be the sport they love, but it's painful.
Yeah, exactly. It's, one of the cool things about golf is it's a sport that any age can enjoy. Mm-hmm. And get out there and play and have fun and relax. But as you said, it can be kind of debilitating for some because they can't get out and play, or it might be something that makes them debilitated when they play. Mm-hmm. They might go play around a golf and boom, now they've got severe back pain for weeks, and it's just not worth it. So a lot of people out there have kind of given up the game entirely, which is kind of sad because there are some things that from a chiropractic or a healthcare perspective that we can do to help those folks out.
Is that a natural thing for our body to do, is swing a golf club like we do?
I wouldn't say it's natural. I mean, if especially for the folks who stand up and the old saying is, grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
And
swinging for the fence.
Yeah, exactly. The older generation, and the quote unquote better golfers have train their body to do the work a little bit more in a better fashion, let's just say. Mm-hmm. And the older generation has learned to do that because they've got some limitations, so they don't swing so hard. But I'd say no, it's not a real natural state of mechanics when you're taking a club and you're really coiling up your body is what you're doing. If you think about the golf swing, you're taking that club back and you're coiling your body, and then to gain the most amount of power, you really uncoil your body.
Twisting and bending at the same time, Doctor.
And it really is. And there's some mechanics, and certainly I'm not an expert at the proper stance and the mechanics with the stance. I mean, there's plenty of golf pros around here that are great at that. But what I would be able to point out is if there's limitations in movement that inhibits that swing. For example, if you think of someone lining up at a golf ball and they're not able to twist their pelvis all the way.
Okay.
Or if they're not able to turn their shoulders all the way, that's one of the common terms you'll hear in golf is to, turn the shoulder turn and then rotate your pelvis.
Square your hips,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. And if you're unable to do those things because of mechanics with your body, limited mechanics, because your pelvis doesn't turn or rotate, or because your mid part of the back is not functioning the way it should. Maybe it's out of alignment, or maybe there's some restriction of motion, something that we deal with in our office. Mm-hmm. Then what happens is that it puts extra stress on the other tissues, the other muscles and joints surrounding that area, and that's when injuries occur. Now, if you can turn and pivot and rotate the pelvis and turn the shoulders, you can imagine the more you can rotate, the bit more power you're going to generate in a golf swing.
And the ball will go farther. And when you think about it, if a person, they say their back is a little out of whack or whatever it may be, and so they're going to try and swing harder with their upper body because they can't do it, and then you start, injuring other areas.
You're going to strain other areas. And the other areas that many times get injured then are the areas that end up compensating, so the elbows and the wrists many times they'll have to do more work, and so they'll get injured. Plus, if the joints aren't moving properly, if your joints, your spine, pelvis aren't moving properly, that means the muscles will get strained more. They'll have to do more work to get the job done. And that's many times when those injuries occur.
Well, and they say you don't have to hit it because the club is designed that if you just swing nice and easy, it's going to go. But apparently that's not in many of our amateur heads, that we just think if we just kill that sucker, it's going to go.
Yeah. And I think that's, we all do that. Or I shouldn't say we all do, but
Most of us.
I certainly do that when you have the opportunity. And some of us don't get out golfing that much,
Right.
that often, so it's kind of the thrill of, again, grip it and rip it and see what happens. The other thing I should mention, too, which goes along with, hitting the ball further, but we also want to hit the ball accurately. And balance has a lot to do with that. And if you've ever had a back injury before, you know how you feel just kind of out of balance. You can't put equal weight on each foot. You might have to favor one side more than the other. Well, that really throws off your balance just in general. And
Sure.
so when you're going to try to hit an accurate shot, which in the golf game, if you're off a little bit on your club, that makes a big difference. So
Oh, heck yeah.
So balance is a really important thing that we look at with golfers, so that they've got good balance from side to side, and they're able to bend, twist, and move in all the directions.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about professional golfers.
Sure.
And they take it even to the next level.
Yes, they do.
It's Sport and Spinal Weekly on 92.1 The River. Sport and Spinal Weekly, we are back. We've been talking about golfing in the relationship to your back, your fluid motion, and making sure that you feel right and everything's moving right when you're going to go to the golf course or the driving range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would even say even for putting, right?
Well, again, we just talked about a little bit about balance, and that's that's a big part of putting, is having the right setup and the right balance. So I think it's crucial.
As we were talking, you had mentioned that I would assume maybe all of them, certainly the top guns, professional golfers, have a chiropractor. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I think all the pro golfers utilize chiropractic, and specifically, there's some of the pro golfers that are real big proponents. Like Tiger Woods does a lot of work with his chiropractor.
Oh, really?
And I know Phil Mickelson's a big advocate of chiropractic, and there's some big names out there that really advocate chiropractic, along with other healthcare professionals, certainly physical therapists and athletic trainers in the mix, but. When you're, again, we talked about the power generated with a pro golfer or a serious golfer. Those, if you get an extra 5-10 yards on your drive, it's a big thing.
Sure is.
It makes a huge difference. And same with your irons. If you can be a bit more accurate because you got better balance, and it makes a big thing. So they've recognized that if their body's in the right alignment, and when we talk about this, it kind of gets back to the core of chiropractic as well as. We work on the spine and the nervous system, and if there's some misalignment or restriction in the spine, it ultimately can affect how the nervous system functions and how the signals go out to all of our muscles. So, if all of our muscles aren't kind of firing at top capacity, it makes a big difference. So, a lot of the pro golfers have recognized that.
I can imagine, because I've golfed like a day of it or a tournament, or you end up going 36 holes.
Yeah,
and you will be sore. You think that you possibly shouldn't be. It's just a game of golf.
Yeah.
But from your lower back to your wrist, your ankles, pretty much everywhere.
Well, that's the kind of the weekend warriors that go through that. You find muscles that you maybe haven't used for a while, and again you're doing something probably that's totally not natural mechanics for your body when you're doing that. Now, the guys who do it over and over again, what they set themselves up for is more of a repetitive type of an injury.
Oh, I see.
And,
okay.
Whether that, and so professional golfers, they're out hitting thousands of balls a day, honing their game, and so they worry about injuries. A lot of their big injuries are wrist, elbow, and then of course the lower back. So, but with prevention is the key with those guys. With folks who do golf a lot and want to continue their golf game, on into the future, you want to make sure that you don't injure yourself, because once you do have an injury, it just, you're just more apt to re-injure yourself. It's just like in any other sport.
Well, and then that makes me think that sometimes we just focus on our own sport, the sport that we're in, and we focus on the muscles that we need for that. But is it just as important to give the muscles, like for a golfer, it's important for all of the muscles and to be stronger or in good shape, opposed just to maybe your arms,
Oh yeah, and that that's really the key to training now. Most of the good trainers aren't going to train in just one aspect. They're going to cross train. So you're going to switch training up. And we could talk for a long time about this, but there's different techniques to physical training now that the good athletes and trainers implement. So you're not just using the ones that you're going to use in your sport, but you kind of cross train. So there's some overlap, and then you can fuse the muscles into getting themselves to the next level. So
like when you talk about professional golfers and having chiropractic and probably on tour with them or being able to have access to them, is there also a role that you guys play when a person is injured but needs to make the cut? It's their job. Do they do things so they can continue to play even though they may have some broken parts?
Absolutely. I know that. I don't know which tournament this was, but I know Tiger Woods was getting adjusted. I think every hole he was getting worked on, stretched, and manipulated, and by his chiropractor, and
really?
Just to kind of get him through stuff. So we watch. And if you've ever been to a pro golf meet, there's a match, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff. There's lots of things going on than as compared to if you're just watching on TV. There's a lot of behind-the-scene action that's happening. So certainly there's a lot of...
so they utilize them right on the course.
They use them right on the course, or they'll be back in the trailer, type of thing. So they'll be using them all the time.
Unique way to see a golf game, I suppose.
Yeah, it'd be neat. I know there's one chiropractor. His name is Dr. Jeff Blanchard, and he actually is a professional golfer. I think he plays he used to play in the senior tour, but he really specializes in golf. But I know he travels with some of the pro players, and that's kind of his specialty. And then we've talked a lot about repairing injuries. So if someone does get injured, and we have so many tools to offer along, not just the chiropractic, although that's very important. But we've mentioned, the cold laser that we do. We'll do soft tissue therapy like myofascial release for injured muscles or chronic, tension in the muscles, and electrical muscle stimulation and interferential and ultrasound. So there's a kinesiotaping. So there's all kinds of different ways to speed up an injury if you have one, to get you back on the course quicker.
Because if that's what you love.
If that's what you love or that's what you want to do, and
get back out there
and get back out there and play, and you buy a membership and you got the cart and the clubs, and and now your back is killing you can't play. Well, there's a solution to that.
Excellent ways to improve the golf game. We'll come up with a golf tip when we return and close out today's show. This is Sport and Spinal Weekly on 92.1 The River.